Okay, good morning, party people. It is January 26th, Friday. Okay, so today for our daily reading, we are in the prophetic books, and my favorite prophet of all time is Jeremiah. So I keep going back and forth about which one I'm going to do next. Maybe I thought it was going to be Esther, but it might be Jeremiah. So our reading today in Jeremiah 3:4 is awesome. It goes along with everything that we just went through with Amos and Hosea. It's Jeremiah. I'll show you on the map where Jeremiah is after I give you all this. But Jeremiah is doing the same thing. He's one of my absolute favorite. He is my absolute favorite for the big guys. Amos is my favorite for the little prophets. Okay, so today for our reading Jeremiah chapters 3, 4, I would recommend you read that if you're not doing the daily reading with me, because it definitely the same kind of thinking is going along with what we've just did in Amos and what we're studying in Hosea. Then also we've got Jonah 1, 2, Revelations 13, 14. So Jonah's good. I've already done Jonah. When I first started doing these videos, I've done Jonah. That's a good one too. Psalms 83, 84, Proverbs 21. Okay, so they're all good. I have to admit. All right, so we are back in Hosea today. This is the Jesus wept chapter of Hosea. It's only 5 verses long, so I'll definitely be able to do it in one sitting. So let me show you on my map. So those of you that have never seen my videos, I've got a tattered old map that is ancient, but it's a great resource for showing where we're at on the timeline to kind of put in your head what we're studying. All right, because to me it doesn't make any sense. It's hard enough to understand without having it in context, right? So what you want to do whenever you study the Bible, you always want to find out who wrote it, why they wrote it, and where they wrote it, and who they wrote it to. I mean, it's really important. Otherwise, you're not going to really grasp what's going on. So here is my map of Israel. So this is the nation of Israel. So after King Saul was the first king, then David's son Solomon, then David's son Rehoboam made some mistakes when he became king. He was so at that time the kingdom split, right? So this is the northern kingdom. These guys are usurpers, as Hosea would call them. Hosea is who we're studying now. He's right here. This is the southern kingdom. So 10 tribes went up here, 2 tribes went down here. This is the Davidic line. This is the legitimate kingship. This is the line from which Jesus comes. And up here is the usurpers, right? So these guys decided to go off on their own, and these guys are a mess. The northern kingdom is always a mess. These guys do much better, but they have messes down here too. So what we saw up here, we just saw Amos. Last time we studied the book of Amos, and now we're in Hosea. So Hosea follows right on the heels of Amos, and Amos is after Jonah, and then here's Elijah and Elisha. So here, this dividing line where you see Hosea's ministry is split between the two. This is when the northern kingdom falls to the kingdom of Assyria. And then here is the southern kingdom, and this is when they fall to the kingdom of Babylon. And here's the story of Daniel, when Daniel's taken into exile with the Babylonians. But here is little Hosea. Now down here is Jeremiah. Now where is he? Right here. So Jeremiah, which is in our daily reading, is right before the fall, or before the fall of the southern kingdom and during the fall of the southern kingdom. So he's definitely my favorite big prophet. So our reading today in Jeremiah follows right along with what we're reading in Hosea, except Hosea is in the northern kingdom, right? So Jeremiah was prophesying to the southern kingdom right before their fall, and here Hosea is prophesying right to the northern kingdom before their fall. So what we see here is Hosea, like many of the prophets, God had asked Hosea to physically act out the prophecies that God had given him. We see this in other prophets as well. So Israel to God is adulterous, right? God chose Israel as his nation, his chosen people, and they have turned away from God. And so what he directs Hosea to do is to marry a woman who he tells her is going to become an adulteress. They have 3 children together. All 3 of the children's names represent judgment from God. They're prophetic names. And so at this point in chapter 3, what we're seeing is that after Gomer has become adulteress, in some capacity, the 2 of them are separated. So they believe that she has gone off and just left her husband and left the children, and who is Hosea, and of course the 3 children. And because now at this point the city of Samaria has come under siege by the city of Samaria has come under siege by Assyria, and So this is the beginning of their troubles, right? So things are going to start becoming scarce. So what you see is when she has gone off to continue to practice her adulteries and possibly temple prostitution, she was receiving gifts and expensive things from her paramours, the people she was having an adulterous relationship with, and so they're separated is what we see. And so this is a huge deal in this society, and it's a huge deal what God has asked Hosea to do. So what you're going to see is God directs Hosea to go and buy her back, because during the siege, while she left him to seek after attention and affection and gifts from these people outside of her marriage, then the siege happens, and so things become scarce, and what she was seeking was no longer available to her, and so she had become desperate and had not returned to Hosea, but God sends Hosea out to seek her out, which is what God does, right? So now we're in chapter 3, and it says, "Then the Lord said to me, go again, love a woman who is loved by a lover," and that's his wife Gomer, "and is committing adultery, just like the love of the Lord for the children of Israel, who looked to other gods and loved the raisin cakes of the pagans." Now that section where it talks about raisin cakes, they went into a lot of detail in the commentary about these raisin cakes. This is a specific name and a word that they're using here to describe the raisin cakes, and they were actually considered extremely expensive and quite delicacies, right? They were actually talked about in the kingdom of David and used as ransom to buy the ark back, or something to that effect. So then it says, "So I bought her for myself for 15 shekels of silver and 1.5 homers of barley. And I said to her, you shall stay with me many days. You shall not play the harlot, nor shall you have a man. So too will I be toward you." So so he buys her back out of her bondage that she had gone into, and he's telling her, we will not have sexual relations, but you're going to stay with me. So that was a huge deal. I mean, he would have been the laughing stock, and everybody would have mocked him. For the children of Israel, and then this is the description of why. This is what God's saying. "For the children of Israel shall abide many days without king or prince, without sacrifice or sacred pillar, without ephod or teraphim." So what they're describing there is they're being taken from the land, right? They're going into captivity. So they're going to live many days without their civil or religious institutions. And what he's describing there are perversions of godly worship, right? So he's adding in there all these things that in the way they were doing it in the north, it was foreign. It was not the way it was supposed to be done. They were not doing things and worshiping God the way they were supposed to. So they're not going to be able to continue to do that, right? So they're not going to be able to do it the right way, the wrong way, and they're not going to have anybody over them that's going to allow them to worship, right? They're going to lose all of their civil institutions as well when they go into captivity. And then it says, "Afterward, the children of Israel." So now, once again, Hosea likes to give the prophecy and then give them hope, right? So the very last verse is verse 5 says, "Afterward, the children of Israel shall return and seek the Lord their God and David their king. They shall fear the Lord and his goodness in the latter days." So there he's referring to, when he says David their king, he's referring to messianic, right? He's referring to, they looked at it as two ways in the commentary: future messianic king Jesus, of course. Also, because Hosea is, like all the prophets, considered the northern kingdom total usurpers, right? They were not supposed to break away and form their own kingdom up in the north. They were supposed to follow the Davidic line, and they did not. And so everyone up there that's the king, these are all, it's not right, right? They're doing their own thing up there all the time, including the position of king. So so it's also referring to the southern kingdom, the kings in the southern kingdom, which were the Davidic line, which were the one that God had ordained. So he's referring both to the future and to the Davidic line in the southern kingdom. All right, so that is the end of chapter 3. That was pretty short and easy, and I'm almost out of time, of course. All right, so read your Bible. Jesus is coming. Remember, Jesus is the only way to the Father. You cannot get there by good works. You can't get there by hoping. You can't get there by anything like that. Just say, "Jesus, I give you my life," and you're in. You don't have to understand everything. You're not going to understand everything. I got to go. I'm out of time. Read your Bible. Jesus is coming. Peace.